Hello. Oh, I'm sorry, my mic. A little unprepared today. I do apologize. And let's lower that. Hello, and welcome to Weekly Charge Up with the Loon. Today's date is January 5th, 2025. And this is my first broadcast of the new year. Happy New Year, all. And we're going to have a discussion. So, if you don't mind having a discussion with me today, we're going to be talking about mindfulness, and hopefully, our discussion will help you get through a busy, hectic, and hopefully not so challenging week. Please, let me just situate this a little bit better. So, here we go. All right, there we go. So, today we're going to be talking about mindfulness and how being mindful throughout your day helps. Now, first thing I want to do is bring up the definition of mindfulness for you. Give me one moment. Okay. So I could share the right screen. All right. So, first, what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is a type of meditation in which you focus on being intensely aware of what you're sensing and feeling in the moment. That's the key point in this definition, in the moment, without interpretation or judgment, excuse me. Practicing mindfulness may involve breathing methods, guided imageries, and other practices to relax the body and mind and help reduce stress. Okay? Now, let me go back here. And so, most people, when they think about mindfulness, they are thinking about just doing a meditation. You wake up in the morning. Some people, they open their Bibles. I've seen people do that before. Some people, you get into your quiet space. It's a part of meditation. But who says you can't do it as you go throughout your day? What do I mean? The way mindfulness was introduced to me way back when was a form of being present. Now, that was a form that I wasn't familiar with. At the time, I just associated, like most people do, with when you're meditating, that's the time you practice mindfulness, and that's when you're doing it. But if you're doing it correctly, if you're doing meditation in that way, within that form, it expands into your life. Most of the time, most people, what happens is that when they're conducting a task, they're multitasking so much that they're not being mindful. They're not present. It adds stress when you aren't mindful, practicing mindfulness. For example, I'm a multitasker. When I decide to cook, so I'm cooking, I'm also cleaning, I'm also I'm tidying up here, I'm tidying up there. I'm trying to have something play in the background. I'm paying attention to what's going on in the background. I'm concentrating on 5 different things Well, no, I'm not even concentrating, because concentration is a form of mindfulness. You're not concentrating on the task at hand. If you think about it, matter of fact, I was watching yesterday reviews or breakdowns. You know how they have those little YouTube interactions of breaking down shows and giving you details about shows. I was sitting down and I was watching it, and they were talking about the show The Bear. I haven't seen the show. I am intrigued to watch the show because cooking is one of the things I like to do. It's one of my favorite hobbies. And I noticed something about every cooking show, every cooking instruction, that how to DIY, all those shows. The person who's instructing you, the person who is the chef, is so hyper focused. Now, I'm not saying to be hyper focused when you practice mindfulness, that outside of being safe, they don't multitask. They multitask in relation to the dish that they're working on at that time. But they're not running here and there and dealing with other items that has nothing to do with the other items that has to do with the actual task at hand. What I'm trying to say is, if you take the time throughout the week and just focus on what you are doing, focus on the task at hand, you won't be distracted. You won't be as stressed. Practicing mindfulness in everything you do, not just when you meditate, not whenever you conduct your spiritual practice. Being present, being in the moment, not judging, not interpreting other items, if that makes sense. That is what being mindful throughout your day, your week, actually means. I personally feel when I practice mindfulness, it does help me a lot. Not just staying focused, but it helps. I'm not as stressed. My blood pressure isn't going up, metaphorically and literally. I'm able to not cause myself pain, which sometimes does occur when you are multitasking. Now, I'm not saying multitasking is a bad thing, but I'm saying if you want to have a calmer, more productive, how can I say, easier time of the week, being mindful, being present. That's the terminology I was looking for. Trying to be present in the moment of what you're doing or the task at hand. I think it's very important to have that there. Now, there's 3 qualities that, because I did some research on it, a more in-depth research on mindfulness, because all I would be able to tell you is my interpretation, but it has been something that has been researched. It has been something that people have looked upon. Now, the 3 qualities that come along with being mindful and practicing mindfulness is, one, I've mentioned, is attention. The paying attention to what is occurring at that moment in time. Your intention. It's easier to enact your intention when you are being mindful. When you know what you want to do, how you want to do it, and you don't allow any other distractions. And also your attitude. when you're being mindful, it does cause your way of thinking, your attitude to change. You aren't as hostile immediately. You aren't reactive. You are aware of the situation. You see it as best you can at that moment without any, I'm going to keep saying without distraction, because in this day and age, there's everything that could distract you. I mean, if you walk out your street, all right, you walk down the street, and let's say you're going to the supermarket. You're not driving, you're walking. You're going for a walk. Count how many people are walking down the street. Something simple, something that you would think people pay attention to doing. How many people are looking at their phone? They're not even looking where they are walking, which is a simple task. They are not mindful at that time. They are not practicing mindfulness. They are being distracted. A couple of years back, right before we got all locked down, there was like a viral videos of people literally walking down the street, down busy streets that has those trap doors that delivery people go in for and drop off stuff for stores, storefront businesses. And they were so distracted that people literally were falling down in them. I'm sure if you live in a populated city area where we have problems with potholes and stuff, how many times do you see someone who either twisted their ankle or end up in a cast because they weren't paying attention to something as simple as walking down the street, and they were distracted simply by their phone? Now, I'm not talking about people who were walking and then all of a sudden, bam, there's a noise and there's an accident, and they look and they say, oh my gosh, what's this accident? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a beautiful clear day, no rain, no snow, no ice, and they end up falling into a pothole. I'm not even going to put it out there, falling into the trapdoor uh, hatches that they have on the street. But and they end up hurt because they aren't mindful for a simple task. Now, that's something simple. Now imagine you're going to work. If you work in an office, um, that's not a dangerous job, but you're not focused on what you're doing. You're listening to this conversation over here. Mind you, you're trying to get your a task done, whatever task it is. You have this conversation happening here, this conversation happening here. You have the window in front of you or behind you, or and you're looking and trying to figure out what's going on over there, and you're allowing distractions. You're not focusing on what you're trying to do. An hour goes by, 2 hours go by. Oh my goodness, I'm stressed. Now I have to hurry up and do this. You take a deep breath, you exhale, and you focus on the task at hand. I've been practicing bringing the practice of mindfulness into my daily tasks to the point where I'm not as stressed. Blood pressure doesn't say as much, but I'm not as stressed as I usually am. I can focus on the task I'm doing. I get a lot more done, personally and professionally. And if someone, because things don't always go your way, so we're not talking about having that set schedule of I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this at this time, at that time. No, you start a task, you focus on that task, and you complete it. This way, you're not distracted. that's something I used to have a problem with, where I started something, I got distracted with something else, and next thing I know, it's 10 minutes before I have to leave work, and I still didn't do the main thing I was supposed to do. Again, brings up the stress. If you just focus on what you do, what you're doing at the time at hand, when you're throwing curveballs, when people throw last minute meetings at you or last minute tasks that they wanted done yesterday, you're not so stressed because you have the tasks that you're supposed to do already set up. Key point. We're not going to talk about professionally. Let's talk about personally. Come home from work, you got to get dinner ready. You have to study for school. Well, you've prepared. Mindfulness is also getting prepared for the week. Um, you have food already set, or you're going to order food. Not that I recommend doing that too often. Um, it's hard and it's expensive. But being in the present moment, you walk in your home, you prepare your dinner, whether it's pop it in the microwave, in the oven, or actually cook it, and that's what you focus on. You're not running around trying to do this or that. When you sit down and you study, if you want to read a book or if you want to watch that show, everything is in order and you're in the present. You are in the moment. But if you don't practice mindfulness, you're not. You're rushing. You're putting together the dinner while you're trying to start studying. You get started studying. Next thing you know, you smell something burning. You run to the kitchen. You've ruined the food that you needed so desperately to eat so you could continue studying. Being present, practicing mindfulness helps you in other aspects, because the scenario that I provided for you, there are several aspects that you have touched upon. Time management, managing your time better if you're in the present. I'm not going to sit down and study till my dinner's done, but I could clean up the kitchen meanwhile while the water is boiling for my rice, or the oven's warming up, or the microwave is going. I could clean up a little bit. This way, when I do sit down and study, I don't have to go, oh my goodness, I forgot something. Your time management. This way you could focus on what you need to focus on. Which I think I actually went ahead, because there are 4 steps. 4 steps that they have here for mastering mindfulness. Now, mindfulness is something that takes practice, but this will help you master it throughout the week, and this will help reduce your stress level in the same aspect. First is focusing on your breathing. This is where the meditation, where it says it's a form of meditation, because the first thing you learn when you learn to meditate is breathing. I'm not a professional on that, so I'm not going to go through how to breathe correctly. If you practice yoga, if you do any form of exercise, like in an aerobics setting where you take any type of class, the first thing they do is they always begin with the proper breathing. You have to breathe. Even one of my hobbies was, hopefully I'll get back into it, was belly dancing. And I didn't understand it until I actually participated in a class, because I'm the type of person, I go and I look at the class, and the one thing the teacher kept saying, and every instructor, anybody who has ever taught me belly dancing, any class I've gone to, the constant thing they constantly tell you is breathe, breathe. Believe it or not, people will hold their breath while doing a task, which does not help. Belly dancing, you would think you're exuding exercising. You're exuding energy. You would think that breathing would come naturally. No, actually, and it's funny because when I took the class, I realized when they said breathe, I was holding my breath. Learning to breathe, I mean, think about it. If you're stressed, you're going through a stressful time, you're overwhelmed, the first thing you do is stop, and the second thing you do is take a deep breath. Well, if you're practicing mindfulness, and you want one thing that you don't have to do is take that breath, because you have the breathing going. You have it to a point where you're still breathing, you're letting the oxygen go through your body, and you're still remaining calm no matter how stressful the situation. Um, that's why I believe monks, priests, those who are in the monastery, usually don't have that, how can I say, panic reaction, because they do practice mindfulness, and they do practice breathing, because they meditate several times a day. No, we don't live the type of life that you could do that, but you could take a moment on your to work, ride home, in the office, in a meeting, and just sit there and just, in and out, simple breathing techniques. You could always Google different breathing techniques. Like I said, I'm not going to go get into it. The second thing is to connect your mind and your body. Again, this is where if you practice the meditation part, and I would recommend starting with the meditation part of this, practice it during meditation. Um, Quieting, turn off the TV, turn off the music, um, get comfortable. You don't have to sit in lotus position if it's not comfortable for you. It's not comfortable for me. Bad back, bad knees, old age, crack, and the whole 9 yards. But if it means sitting in a chair like I'm sitting now, feet planted down, no tension, just let it relax. Or even, if you have the time, lying down. Just and while you're doing that, you're relaxing. Make yourself aware what's going through your mind. Make yourself aware what's going on throughout your body. Where do you feel your pain? Where don't you feel pain? Where are the aches? Sometimes you could get to the point where you could even feel and hear your heartbeat, which I know it sounds something fundamental. It's like, of course your heart's beating, but do you feel it? And I'm not meaning like when you're in panic mode or scared. I'm talking about, do you feel, yeah, I feel that. I feel the heartbeat happening. I feel the pulsing, and it's calming to me. The connection between mind and body. I would say that would happen during the meditative state. And once you've gotten that down, it happens whenever you practice mindfulness. Um, the third one, which goes along with the mind and body part, is noticing your thoughts and your feelings. Being aware of your thoughts and feelings. It's easy to one of you have it's an extreme I've noticed that's become a pattern. Either people they block off their feelings, they don't know how they feel about certain situations at a certain time, or it's the complete opposite where they're over emotional. Part of being mindfulness is finding the center. So when you are practicing mindfulness, you're practicing centering yourself throughout any situation at any time. And this is the best one. And this is the one that I believe most people, they just don't do, they forget to do it, pause. It's okay to take a moment and go, if things get overwhelmed, taking the pause, being in the moment. How am I feeling? Why am I overwhelmed? That is part of being mindful. That is part of practicing mindfulness throughout your day without living in a seminary, basically, or a monastery at that point. So I'm hoping that one day I'll get it down to the point where I could quit this. But being to the point where you are present and you are there in the moment. You're not thinking about, what am I going to do next weekend? Or what am I going to wear tomorrow? You're not being mindful if you're doing that. What you At that moment, I'm sitting in front of my computer. I'm talking. I'm not paying attention to the dog barking outside my window, although I find it very cute. See, distraction. Mindfulness is focusing on what you're doing at that time, at that moment. I drop a line, write down, how do you practice mindfulness? How do you view mindfulness? Are you aware that this is an option to practice throughout your day without being in a meditative state, without sitting down and meditating and standing still? That you can, what do you do to be present at the moment? Do you know how to? I mentioned yoga earlier. So I know meditating is hard for people. It's a hard task for some people to do. What I would recommend is take a yoga class. Matter of fact, I mentioned last week that I'm not someone for resolutions. But everybody does resolution. So if you want to start hitting two birds with one stone, you want to get healthy, start moving a little bit more, and you want to learn how to practice mindfulness, I highly recommend try taking a yoga class once a week. Or better yet, if you're someone who thinks yoga, and I say think because my personal opinion when it comes to fitness is you need high impact and you need low impact. So if yoga is, I used to make an excuse not to take yoga classes and say, it'll put me to sleep. I need something to keep me going. I need to be active and moving all the time. If the yoga is too slow for you, for now, because once you get into it and you get into exercising, you're going to appreciate a good yoga class. And you're going to find it very challenging. But that's just a side note. Another aspect that you could try to incorporate in that is martial arts. I love martial arts, even though I'm not in a position where I could take the classes I used to take before. But taking a martial arts class helps. It teaches you breathing techniques. It teaches you the practice of mindfulness, and it gets you healthy. It gets you moving. But we're going to stick to our focus and our topic today. I'm doing what Luke normally does, is get off topic. So try to be present as you go through your week. Try to make sure that you pay attention to where you are. Even if you're just standing waiting for the bus, sit there and just take in, how do I feel standing here waiting for the bus? I'm in New York, so I'm going to say in the freezing cold. Are you leaving when it's dark out? Are you standing there when the sun's starting to rise? How does the sunrise look? How does the sky look? Mindfulness helps you with gratitude. Mindfulness helps you with basically appreciating the small stuff. They're two different things, although they sound like they're the same. Gratitude is what you have immediate effect on you. For example, the roof over your head, the food you have to eat, the job you have or have coming. Now, appreciating the small stuff is appreciating watching the sunrise, seeing the colors of the sunrise. It's not immediate to you because everybody has that. Everyone, but not everybody sees that. Not everyone feels that. Not everyone acknowledges that. Having heat. I think there's a cold front that's going through the Midwest and the Northeast, middle of the East. It's hitting us, but we're not getting snow yet. Knock on wood. Here in New York. So we only get the frigidness, which I don't know which is worse, but I digress. So you have that going on, where there's two aspects of it. So you're standing for example, you're standing at the bus stop and you're freezing cold, but fortunately, this is gratitude, that you're going to end up going into the office. There's going to be heat, hopefully, and there's going to be heat when you go home. That's gratitude. But when you're mindful in the cold, standing at the bus stop, and I say that because we are going to be out there in that cold at least 6 times a week. Oh, no, I'm sorry, 10 times a week, going and coming. So you become appreciative of even that cold, chilling, uncomfortable feeling, except for snow bunnies. Those of you who love the snow and the cold, you're in your element. Y'all can have it. But you understand that this is how I feel at this time, at this moment. Just focus. Uncomfortable. I don't like this feeling. Acknowledge it. And don't judge it. Just acknowledge the feeling. Because remember, the part of the definition is not judging, not interpreting. Just acknowledge, I feel this way. That's something I had to do a lot and still doing, due to aches and pains. So it helps ease the pain for me when I practice mindfulness as well. Last year was a rough year with my back. And when I practiced mindfulness and I acknowledged it, I was able to focus on fixing the issue. It does help you think clearly. It helps you not be as, how can I say, emotionally irrational. you come off as professional. You may come off a little cold, but not so much. But the main part of practicing mindfulness and the main gift is not to be stressed. So the point of being mindful for the rest of the week, and I wanted to just be this to be a 30-minute broadcast, but I do apologize. So I'm going to sum it up. The main focus is to be mindful and be present, and to help alleviate a lot of stress. This year started off a very stressful way for many. And as you embark on the first official work week of the year, although some of us did have to work after New Year's, one of the things I would say is to be present. And the wonderful thing, even though I said I don't believe in New Year's resolutions, many people practice it. The one way not to be a statistic on the failures of New Year's resolutions is if you start being present and practicing mindfulness, you will be able to make that 20-day, 21-day mark for making your new habit into a normal occurrence. What do I mean by that? New Year's resolutions. New Year's resolutions. You make a promise. I want to go to the gym and I want to lose weight. Well, 9 times out of 10, it lasts about a week. So we're about hitting where this is the 5th. So Tuesday, some people make it 2 weeks. And those who are determined make it 3 weeks, which means you are successful in your goal. Let's take the working out part. If you decide to work out, whether you're following a YouTube channel and you want to exercise for that YouTube, or you join a gym. If you practice mindfulness, you put your things together, you pack your bag or you get dressed, you get to the gym however you are, and when you're at the gym, you are at the gym. That is the only focus you have. The exercise you do, the class you take, that is your focus. There is no work you're thinking about. There's no time limit that you're thinking about. You are focused on that. It's hard, yes, but nothing in life that we embark on is easy. So you add your dedication. If you are present during the time you're conducting the task for your goal, you are most likely to keep continuing doing it. If you are present. If you sit there and you're at work and you're like, oh God, I gotta go to the gym. You're not focusing on work, you're focusing on something else. When you're at work, focus at work. Focus on your tasks. Focus on what you have to do for work. Then when it's that time to do your workout, you do your workout. And then while you're there, this is still part of mindfulness. Yes, it's hard to do that exercise, but I want to master this exercise. Or I feel good doing this exercise. Oh, I feel a wonderful stretch when I do this. You're acknowledging it, that this is how I feel. This is what it's doing to my body. And this is how my mind feels. I could do this. You could do anything, but you have to be present. You're not thinking about the end product. You're not thinking about what you were before. You are thinking about right here, right now, this is what matters. And anything is possible. But first, we have to put in practice the techniques that will get us to our goal. So this week, be present. If you want to journal, which I am debating on whether I'm going to conduct a journaling challenge for those who come across this. It'll be a 10-day, maybe 10, maybe 13, challenge where you record how you feel after the fact, because if you're in the moment, you're not journaling it. You're concentrating on what you're doing. But just be present. If you're having a conversation with someone, don't wander. Be in the conversation. And if it's a conversation that you don't want to be in, maybe you should be honest about it. Just saying. But there are the benefits that goes a long way with being mindful. What I'll try to do is find some videos and link them in the description for here. So if you really want to start practicing mindfulness, if I don't think there's videos on breathing, I'm a big reader, so I would have to do a search. So it'll be later on. So if you're running into this video later on, just look in the description. If you're catching this before I put the links, just check back and I'll put some links in there. But let's all try to be present in the time and practice mindfulness and see how we feel. Let's try to alleviate the stress, whether it's worldly or personal, and become a better us, become a better you. I'm trying to become a better me, and I'm taking you along for the ride, and I hope it's a beneficial ride. Till then, for the weekly charge up, I will see you next Sunday. We have a buddy check coming up on this channel, and I'm working on a few recipes for recording and getting the homesteading part of this channel going. And soon, Luke and we have another channel. I'll put the link in the description as well. We have another channel where we have our talks. I believe I called it Can We Talk? The Loon and the Luke. No, Can We Talk with the Loon and Luke? So we have another topic we're working on. We'll probably do that one on a monthly basis. Feel free to join us on that. Feel free to join me next week. I don't know what my topic is yet. But have a beautiful, mindful week. And again, Happy New Year. May it be prosperous, successful, and beautiful for you. Till next time.